no potentially naked children in view. Because at least one of my kids is, she's passed out. My 3-year-old's knocked out on the floor over there. So I guess I don't know, at some point she might get up, but she's butt naked right now. Anyway, I had a few ideas of things to talk about in my Sunday monologue today. Before someone asks, this right here is just the concrete edge of a shelf. I'm aiming this way a lot along the shelf. Anyway, so you can see it. So, I had some sort of serious topics that people are gonna probably argue about and stuff, and I was just thinking, like, I just don't feel like that right now. Like, it just doesn't seem important. What I've been doing lately is spending lots of time with my kids. That's probably like the main thing I've been doing lately. That's really important. That's what seems important to me right now. I mean, that's always important to me, but I've been spending a lot of time with them and just trying to get my kids involved in stuff and teaching them stuff. Just doing dad-kid stuff. And other than that, digging, working on my property, landscaping. Yesterday, I planted a whole bunch of coconut trees, and let's see. I was gonna say, does anyone have any questions? All right, let me get to what you just said, Dallas Wade, in a second. Let me just finish my little thing, my sentence I was in the middle of, but we're gonna get into that. Hold on. Okay, so yesterday I just planted a whole bunch of new coconut trees, different kind of coconuts than I have. These are the bright yellow coconuts. Someone who lives a few miles away who has kids, and we went to visit so the kids could play. They had all these yellow coconut trees, and I was like, hey, can I take some? They're like, yeah, I'd take a ton. So I planted a bunch of those here. I have tons of coconut trees planted. When they actually come up, we're going to be inundated with coconuts, which is not a bad thing. And today I went spearfishing, and the only thing I caught was a fish, like a little tiny fish. It wasn't the one I was aiming for. I was aiming for a bigger one, but I missed and hit this little tiny one. But I was somewhere where there was a cat, so the cat was really excited to see this little fish come out of the water. So the cat got the fish. And I planted a couple hibiscus bushes yesterday and a bunch of water apple trees. Water apples are, like stone fruit, like apples, plums, peaches, that kind of thing, don't generally grow in the tropics very well, or at all. I don't know. So the apples they have here, there are a few different kinds of apples. Water apples are the most apple-y kind of apples. And they're basically like spongy apples with really thin skin. And they're not that great for eating. They're okay, but they're amazing for cooking with because they're already a little spongy, So they turn into applesauce really well, or you can turn them into like an apple pie. Oof, they're really good. Anyway, I planted a bunch of those trees, and that's going well. Hey, shut up, you crazy kids! Sorry, I just had to lay down the law a little bit there.
David, you know where the cardboard scissors are?
Do I know where the cardboard scissors are?
Yeah.
Check on the tool thing, and then check on my table, and then check in the scissors spot beside the table. All right. So yeah, I just been like digging, landscaping, hanging out with my kids. Oh, and then I'm also programming this video game that I've mentioned a few times. It's just a tank. We just call it Tank Game or Mega Blaster. It's kind of like a redo of this old video game called Scorched Earth, because it doesn't really run. The old game Scorched Earth doesn't really run on modern computers anymore. Even running it through DOSBox, it crashes all the time. But
okay, we just need.
Anyway, all right, Dallas Wade. Oh man. While I was talking there, I read your message in my head. Okay, Dallas Wade says, Jaimie, hello, my girlfriend of 7 years cheated on me, and I'm so lost. Do you have any advice? Well, I mean, the relationship's over, right? I mean, I don't know which part of the process you're in, like which part you need advice with. If she cheated on you, the relationship's over, because it's not gonna. There's nowhere to go after that. From if you stay with her, I don't know. Maybe you've already moved on, but let's just cover this first. If you stay with her for the rest of your life, you're going to be wondering when she's going to cheat next. So the relationship's over. And if you've been with her for 7 years, that's going to suck. Man, that's going to suck hard. Not in a good way. Oh, that sucks. Oh, God, that really sucks, man. So, I mean, if I was in your position, I mean, first, I would be unbelievably frustrated, but I would just start doing my own thing. You know, just almost like regress into yourself and focus on yourself. You know, eat well, do a bunch of exercise, take really good care of yourself, and just put everything else aside for, you know, a month or two, a couple months, few months, whatever. Just take care of yourself and put everything else aside. You know, go do your job, you know, go to your work or do whatever you need to do, you know, but really just like focus on your own health and take care of yourself. And that's going to do a couple things. One, it's going to kind of help get your mind off stuff. I mean, your mind's going to be stuck on it for a while, but if you start getting productive into something that matters, and your own health always matters. So you start exercising a lot, eating well, taking really good care of yourself. It'll take your mind off that horrible disaster and help you move on to something better, and you can become a better person within yourself and kind of get past that whole mess, right? Another thing is it's going to help with the depression. You know, when something like that happens, it's really depressing. But exercise and eating well, that helps the depression. And, you know, it really, I mean, you're going to be in a hole for a while, but it's going to help for sure. It's also going to help keep you from doing something stupid. You know, you when you have a really terrible situation like that, you're not going to be in the right mindset, right, for a while, and you're going to be prone to doing stupid things, like maybe you start drinking a lot or doing stupid stuff like that. And drinking is a terrible idea. Don't do that. That's a depressant. That's going to make everything worse. A downward spiral, big time. But you know, so you can just focus on yourself and taking care of yourself. You know, go to the gym or do the gym at home. I like to do the gym at home. I don't even like to go to a gym because then there's people there. In this particular case specifically, I would spend a lot of time by myself, exercising, go for runs, do exercise at home, and just take care of yourself. And don't try to distract yourself, you know, by hanging out with other people who are going to distract you from her or talking about it a ton. You know, you're going to process through the whole thing faster if you just spend a bunch of time by yourself and just trying to do your thing. And it's going to be uncomfortable because like all these thoughts are going to be going through your head and you'll be like, but just let them go through, process it, and just say, okay, this is uncomfortable and horrible, but the faster I just let this happen, the faster I can get past it. So that's what I would do. And man, that really, really sucks. 7 years. Oh God, really frustrating. All right, how's everyone else doing? I hope you guys are having a better day than Dallas. And Dallas, I'm not meaning to move on from you, but man, I feel your pain and it sucks. And I think everyone here probably is like, wishing you good luck with dealing with this. All right, Barry says we are closer to moving. Have everything budgeted out. Plan is now 10 months, but could possibly be as soon as 4. Moving where? Where are you moving? Have you had sprouted coconut? Oh, yeah, I have had sprouted coconut. So when the coconut starts growing a tree, there's this thing, well, the coconut is a seed, but then inside the coconut, there starts growing this kind of spongy, solidish thing that we call the seed. So, you know, if a coconut starts sprouting, my kids will be like, "Ooh, does it have a seed? Does it have a seed? I want it," because the seed is kind of delicious. You know, it tastes different than the coconut, but it's been soaking in the coconut juice. I don't know. It's pretty tasty, like spongy thing, and I think that's sort of like the placenta that's delivering the, taking the nutrients from the seed and delivering it to the plant that's growing. That's the best analogy I can make. It's like a coconut placenta, and it's delicious. You can eat it. And once the coconut starts growing, the coconut itself starts like getting softer and squishier and kind of jellier, and it starts getting used up. So, but yeah, I've had that. I've had coconut placenta before. Oh man. Hey, what's going on, toe mainers? How's it going, man? Mr. Landfills here, of course. Yeah, when you have a lot of coconuts, sprout them. Delicious. Yes, they're delicious. Although I prefer them before they sprouted, but that's just me. But yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Glad to be catching you live. You got a big heart. Well, thanks, man. I do my best. Best wishes from Ireland. I almost just read that as Iceland. Ireland. I was looking, before I moved to Central America, I was looking at possibly moving to Ireland. That was one of the possibilities. Of course, the weather not being spectacular was not so great. And then being so close to England. Oh man. Red. So the other name I have for England is Red Tape Island. Just because, oh my God. I lived there for 4 months, and just everything was red tape. There's so much bureaucracy just to get the simplest things done. And I thought it was bad in North America. Oh man, England is brutal. Anyway, thanks, brother. I really do appreciate the words. No problem, Dallas, man. You are in a crappy position. Although it's not the worst position, because if you were in the position where your girlfriend of 7 years was cheating on you and you didn't know, and you were just waiting for that impending doom, not even knowing it's coming, that's in a worse position. So it's not the worst position you could be in. You know what happened. You can move on. I hope you're moving on. Don't stick it out with her, because no good, man, no good. I presume you're moving on. Do your best to move on. Okay. Moving countries, Verity says, moving countries, different main language. Took on an extra course, but with English, I will find my way in the capital to more jobs and future and friends I made online. So where are you moving, Verity? To another country with another language. Hi from England. Oh, McBong's Lab. You know what I'm talking about, man. Red Tape Island. Oh, I remember when we were there, we wanted to get the internet connected. This was like the first, oh no, it wasn't even the first thing. Just like trying to find a place to rent to stay. Oh my God. Oh, it was just brutal. Like you can't just like rent some place to stay. Here in Central America, there was a house I saw, and some people said, oh yeah, that house, no one's living in it right now. That guy rents it sometimes. I got the guy's phone number. I called him, said, hey, can I rent that house? We agreed on a price. I moved in, and then I saw him like a few weeks later, gave him cash. That was it. That was it. But man, renting a place in England, it was like, oh, the forms and the regulations and the law. And then we tried to get the internet connected. Oh no, you have to wait a month to get the internet connected. But why do we have to wait a month to get the internet connected? Are the wires not connected? Do you have to like put new stuff in? No. It's all there. It's all ready to go. So you can just push the button and turn it on. Oh, no, I can't. Regulations say 30 days. Oh, my God. It was ridiculous. England is crazy bureaucracy. Anyway. Oh, I'm gonna buy 15 coconut palms. Dude, you don't have to buy them. Just find someone with coconut palm trees. Because, like, I would give you a few. Although right now we eat all of them, and it's a rare occasion that I have like one that I plant. But like loads of people have. If you're in a place where coconut palm trees grow, you can just find someone who has a lot on their property, and they'll be like, yeah, just grab one that's on the ground. They roll down the hill, land in the ocean, whatever. Actually, we find coconuts in the ocean all the time anyway, and they'll sprout even if they've been floating around in the ocean for a while. You made the right choice. It's all red tape here too. Where are you, Giant Oak? Are you in North America too? I was actually talking with a friend this morning, and she's like 20 years old, and she was saying, well, she's a bartender or something, and she was saying she was trying to find a place to rent, and it was like $1,600, $1,600 a month for just this little kind of crappy place. And wasn't even like in some giant metropolitan area. It was like some little town. And to buy a house was like $500,000, like a little house. And she's like, I don't know what to do. I cannot make enough money to like survive, to live anywhere, unless I like do OnlyFans or something. It's crazy. It's crazy out there. Anyway, I'm sure some people are having better experiences, but whatever. Do you have any regrets about moving to Panama? Would you have moved sooner, or what would you have done differently? Hey, little naked kid. Yeah, go put some pants on. I got one naked human running around. Let me just make sure that this is all right. As long as you're not in the kitchen, you're definitely not in the. Yeah. All right. All right, we can go over a little more. There we go. Do I have any regrets about moving to Panama? You know, not really regrets, but like under the circumstances, it went pretty well. However, if I could go back in time and I knew where I was coming, I would have gone to Florida. I would have bought a cheap sailboat, because there's so many sailboats in Florida, and they'll get a bit of hurricane damage, or someone just doesn't want to deal with having a boat anymore. There are very cheap boats to be had in Florida, lots of them. I would get a boat in Florida and I would sail it down, with all my stuff, and I would bring a whole bunch of, I don't know what. I mean, now that I have knowledge of what you can get in Panama and what's harder to find, I would just make a list of things that are harder to get here, that are easier to get in the States, in Florida, and I would just bring a whole bunch of stuff in a sailboat. And then it would be a big enough sailboat to live in, like a pretty decent sized sailboat, preferably a catamaran, because lots of space. And then it would be like starting with the home. I feel like I would have a big head start. I would also deal with certain people a little differently, but hindsight's always 20/20, so whatever. What do you want? I can't deal with that right now, dude. What would you have done differently? Yeah, but the thing is, like, all the choices I made were pretty good based on the information I had at the time. When I left the United States, I had no idea I was going to end up in Panama. So we were just traveling around with whatever we could carry with us, trying to find some place. And given the circumstances, it worked out pretty well. But yeah, obviously, if I knew everything now, then I'd be able to plan better. Oh, Verity is moving to Sweden. That's cool. I love Swedish. Oh, Swedish sounds so funny. I shouldn't say that because Swedish people might get offended. But come on, Swedish is like the funniest language ever.
How is it so funny?
It's just that it sounds. My daughter's asking me why Swedish is so funny. I know it sounds okay. The Swedish chef in the Muppets. Remember that cartoon I showed you? Not the cartoon, the Muppet thing, the puppet thing, where the guy was making all the popcorn. That was a Swedish chef. That guy. Yeah, it sounds a little bit like that. I mean, it probably sounds sillier to me because I don't understand any of it, but it sounds it's like such a fun language. It sounds like. Of course, they could be swearing at me, and I would just be like, "Wow, it sounds so fun." Okay, McBong's Lab says I do know about it. Ah, the red tape in England. Yes, they make everything complicated just for the sake of it. I think they like pointless paperwork too much. Oh God, yeah. And the council. Oh, everywhere you go, there's a council that has to approve everything you do. And you're like, oh God, don't even get me started. I'm just gonna go off on a whole what is wrong with England thing. And like, oh God. It's like the heart of bureaucracy, and it just spreads out from England like evil tendrils all over the world.
We need more.
Who knows? It probably comes from somewhere even before England, but I don't know. Nepsy says, do I buy land or do I buy a van and travel for a year or two? I'm very stuck.
What's a van?
If you're in a situation where you think either of those would be pretty awesome and you can genuinely be happy with either choice, just flip a coin, man. If you're like, oh, one of these two things will be so amazing, flip a coin. And then once your coin decides for you, see if you can accept that choice. Because that's something I do a lot of times. If I'm stuck between two choices, I'll flip a coin, and then what the coin tells me, like as soon as I see the coin telling me the answer, like what it picked, I'll just have this instinctual, oh no, I want the other one. Or, oh, I'm glad it landed on that one. And then I realized, oh, I already had the choice, like way back in my subconscious. I just needed some kind of concrete answer to really just, you know. But if it was me, I'd buy land. And if you buy a van, to totally get a used one. Travel for a year or two. I would totally buy land. If you could spend the next year or two buying land and setting it up to be like this super awesome place, or traveling for a year or two, I would buy the land and set things up. Of course, I mean obviously because that's like what I'm doing now. So I think that's the best thing ever. Obviously you got a choose for yourself. But yeah, try the flipping a coin trick. See if it sheds any light. We did mills. Oh, did we mill some flooring yet? No, we have not milled any flooring yet. I'm working on the path to get the logs. It's going. It's sort of like I'm on this long journey and I'm making progress, and it's like it's going to seem like nothing's going to happen for a while, and then suddenly a whole bunch of stuff's going to happen. But I am making progress on that front. Don't worry. Oh, I really enjoyed your houseboat. It's too bad it didn't last. The houseboat was cool. I mean, if I knew, there's a couple things about the houseboat. Like I made it out of plywood and then put fiberglass over that because so many boat builders told me this was a good way to do it. But that is not a good way to make a boat last, because any moisture gets through that fiberglass, like even just a tiny like little pinhole, then your plywood starts rotting. Anyway, if I could have gone back and redone that, and this, again, this is a situation where, like now I have more information than what I had before. I have much more experience building boats. I would build a boat not with any plywood. I would just build it straight fiberglass, and I would have built it smaller, the houseboat smaller. But when I built it, I didn't know how long we were going to be living in a houseboat. So I built this huge freaking thing, thinking this might be the house for years. I don't know how long it's going to take to get land. And then we got land like a month after we moved into it. So if I knew we were going to get land so soon after moving into the houseboat, I would have made it way smaller, and just more sturdy. And I mean, it was pretty sturdy actually. It was sturdy, even with the rotting plywood, like 7 or 8 years after building it. You know, there were spots getting soft. Just the way it was built, the structure was, the shape was so good that it wasn't coming apart or anything. It was still totally solid. I mean, not counting the squishy parts. And by squishy parts, I mean you could kind of bounce up and down on the floor in certain areas, sort of like a trampoline. Not squishy like Jello, like. Anyway, hey Jaimie, Sam Off Grid. Hello, Sam Off Grid. This is why one of my properties is in Cochise County, so I can opt out of building permits. Oh, nice. Yeah, that is a great idea. If you can opt out of building permits, you save so much time and money and aggravation. Totally worth it. Do you have a compost cycle? Are you feeding your fruit trees and food plants? Pee on your pineapples. They love it. I've not been peeing on my pineapples. I do have a few pineapple plants, although I They're not doing great because they keep getting overgrown by grass, and then I cut the grass and I whack the pineapple plant, take off a few of the things before I notice it's there, and I'm like, oh crap. But I do have compost, and I'm doing an okay job of feeding my fruit trees, but I need to do better. But I'm not doing a terrible job. I'm doing a pretty good job for doing everything by myself on my own. I mean, that's...
I want to show them this.
No, we're not doing that right now. Maybe later. Oh, Luciano says, I'm thinking of doing just that, buy a boat in Florida. Yeah, you can get some really good deals on boats in Florida. Homesteading is an expensive way to live poor. Verity, it depends how you do it. It is not, I would not agree with that at all. Homesteading is definitely not an expensive way to live poor. You can make it expensive, but it doesn't have to be expensive at all. Like my income is extremely low. Like I've been living below the poverty level most of my off-grid life, and I'm doing totally fine. Yeah, it just depends how you do it. You can definitely waste money. I mean, it is the same thing with like a boat. People say that about living on a boat. Like, you know, if you buy a boat, it's like standing in the shower throwing money down the drain. Depends how you do it. You know, if you buy a modern boat that's made to need constant maintenance, then yeah, you're gonna have all kinds of problems. And if you do the off-grid thing in all the recommended ways, following all the commercial then yeah, you're gonna have like unbelievable amounts of maintenance, and just everything's gonna cost a ton and blah blah. But if you just start thinking, okay, what am I actually trying to do here? What do I need? What do I need to do to make it happen? And then not think of money as the first solution to everything. Like think of your own ingenuity and how you can do things and what you can figure out. Living off grid does not have to be expensive at all, like homesteading. And this house is a perfect example. 4-story house. It's like something like 5,000 square feet. I built it not counting labor, because it was my own labor, so that didn't cost money. It just cost my effort, time, but it also, you know, made me some muscles. So whatever. It cost something like $3,000 or $4,000. It was under $5,000. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it, you know, compared to buying a 4-story house, it's way cheaper. It's also not finished yet, but most of the things I'm still doing that I still have to finish, like the upper floors and everything, that's not going to cost more money because I built a lumber mill that runs on solar power, and you know, now I did have to buy the solar panels. But anyway, homesteading is definitely not, it's not inherently expensive. McBong's Lab says, land to put a van on seems a better plan. Get the van later, eh? That's true. You get, well, although the point of having the van was to travel around for a year or two. So maybe if he has the land, he doesn't need the van. I remember you talking about stacking precious metals. Have you started? I'm buying platinum a little at a time. Well, wait, did you say stacking? Yeah, stocking. Not really precious metals. Well, they're precious to me, but stainless steel. I have like 200 stainless steel pipes, tubes, like just all over the house, kind of standing up over there. Well, they're not all stainless steel. Some of them are aluminum. And then I have about 100 sheets of various gauges of stainless steel and aluminum.
And some of them brown.
Yeah, like full sheets, like plywood sheets. Some of them are extra long though.
And some of them are brown, they call brown.
Wait, what are you talking about? Some of the metal is brown?
Yeah.
My daughter has informed me that some of the metal is brown. What are you talking about? It's all shiny and metal. Look at it. Where's it brown?
That's a brown type thing. The paint.
Oh, yes. Some of the aluminum rectangle tubes are painted brown, or they might just be anodized or something. I don't know. But yeah, so in terms of stocking a bunch of metal. I haven't bought anything that I couldn't use. So, Crane, can you stop doing that? Do that somewhere else. Do it somewhere else. Go to the Lego zone. Play with Lego in the Lego zone, not in the kitchen. He's just here because I'm doing this right now. Anyway, so like one of the ways to kind of stock up wealth, if you want to get away from some kind of currency, which is a great idea, is buy gold or platinum or silver or something like that. The problem with those is that they're only as valuable as people agree they're valuable. Because if you have a gold bar and suddenly everyone is like, we don't care about your gold bar because now food is more important than everything else. So we don't care about gold. That's not worth much anymore. Then your gold is basically worth nothing. And what can you do with it? Like, what are you going to do with a brick of gold? I mean, I don't know. So what I do is I stock materials that I could use to build things like stainless steel pipes that aren't going to degrade over time, which is why I got stainless steel ones.
Just stainless steel.
No, I know. You don't have to interrupt me, mister. Go play with your Lego in the Lego zone. Oh, this kid's giving me crap now. Yes, stainless steel and aluminum. And they're sitting inside my house. They're in the exact same condition as when I got them. 50 years from now, they'll be in the same condition. So it's something I could buy that's not going to degrade in value. And if I have like a 1.5 inch, 20-foot tube of stainless steel, it's going to be the same value of a 1.5 inch tube of 20-foot long stainless steel throughout all of time, right? So it's not gonna lose its value. And this is the thing about having some valuable things that aren't just money, or aren't things that are whose value is based on people's opinions. Like even if nobody else wants a stainless steel tube at some point in the future, it'll still be valuable to me. Like I can use it to build things and do whatever, So that's the kind of stuff I try to save up. And I try to make all my tools like stainless or whatever is going to last. I try to build all my things to last, which is why I made a concrete house. It takes a lot longer to build, but theoretically, it has a good chance of lasting a super long time. G'day from Queensland, Australia. Well, g'day, mate. Define poor, Sam Off-Grid says. I think this is in reference to whoever said that Barity was saying that homesteading is an expensive way to live poor. Yeah, I don't agree with that statement at all. I totally disagree with that statement. I've read calcium carbide can force a pineapple plant to flower and also can create acetylene gas too. Calcium carbide. What is calcium carbide? I'm gonna have to look that up. Oh, I don't have anything to write with right now. Ken. All right, calcium carbide can force a pineapple plant to flower, and the pineapple is a flower, in case you're wondering. So it'll make a pineapple, and it can also create acetylene gas too. I've been thinking about. I have solar panels like on the lumber mill right now that are doing nothing unless I'm actually cutting. Like they're just sitting there most of the time. And I was thinking about. Oh, thanks. Well, I'm gonna write down. Wait.
Calcium carbide.
Calcium carbide. Thank you. I'm gonna draw a picture of a pineapple. Oh yeah, and acetylene. All right, I'm gonna try to look that up a little bit. Oh yeah, I've been thinking about what's it called? Electrolyzing water, to break it up into hydrogen and oxygen, and then it can store up hydrogen and oxygen with the energy from the solar panels when they're not doing anything else. And then I could make a welder, and like an oxyacetylene torch, but it would be hydrogen and oxygen instead. But as far as I know, hydrogen and oxygen will burn hot enough to weld. I think that would actually be a pretty sweet thing. I mean, it's not at the top of my priority list yet, but I think that would be a great thing to do. Sam Off Grid says, I would say Jaimie is rich in lots of ways. Yeah, actually, if we're going to talk about me specifically, I don't feel poor at all. I know people sometimes talk about, oh, that homeless looking guy, because I like wear a ripped shirt half the time. But like, if I'm like outside working, of course I'm going to wear some grubby clothes. I don't want to wear my nice stuff and wreck it. But yeah, man, I get to spend all this time with my kids. I have a huge house that I love. I have this property. I got these super cool boats that are like the coolest boats. Yeah, I don't feel poor at all. I feel actually really, I feel very rich. I feel really fortunate to be here doing this stuff. And yeah, I'm also really grateful to all of you guys who've helped me over the years. Donating money or sending things that I could use. It's really, really cool. Would you ever do a project with used Nissan Leaf motor, like a larger boat? If there was a Nissan Leaf motor that came up, I would probably find something to do with it. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. It depends how much energy it's going to need and stuff. I don't think I would do a boat. I'm going to presume a Nissan Leaf motor is a pretty beefy thing. It's gonna be pretty high horsepower. Although maybe it runs on a different volt, like a higher voltage than 24. And if I ran it on a 24 volt, maybe it would be a more reasonable power amount for, I don't know, probably. I would probably use it. Do you believe, I don't believe anything, but do you believe in allocating your time to force multiply activities such as building a sawmill? I don't know what this means. Okay, do you believe in allocating your time to force multiplying activities such as building a sawmill? Force multiplying activities. Do you mean like if using my time to create something that can multiply the amount of force I put into it? I don't know. I'm not sure what you're asking. Force multiplying is in quotes. I might need some explanation on that. Okay. All right, I don't know. Ken says, have you thought of, yes, I bet I have. Whatever it is, I bet I have, but let's see. Have you thought of making a foundry? Yes. Or something to smelt metals and cast into objects. I've seen many natural ways to go about making one. I don't know about natural ways, but I've got some unnatural ideas. I guess I could totally make a foundry out of clay. Yeah, maybe I should do that. Anyway, yeah, totally. One thing I was thinking about the other day was thermite. For anyone who doesn't know, look it up to get the ratios of this, but if you take rust, like iron rust, iron oxide, dust, and mix it with aluminum dust, mix them together, I'm not even going to say what the ratio is because I'm going to get it wrong. But anyway, you mix them in the right ratio, and you end up with this powder that's just like some part rust, some part aluminum. And if you ignite it, the oxygen jumps from the iron to the aluminum. So you end up with aluminum oxide and melted iron. And so this is used to like weld like train track pieces together and stuff like that. And when this reaction happens, it just burns like crazy, and it lets off so much heat that the iron, it doesn't just lose its oxygen and become pure iron. It actually melts and will melt out to the bottom. So you can take this thermite stuff, put it in like a clay mold and light it, and you'll get an iron mold of thing without any external power source. Usually I haven't tried this yet, but yeah, supposedly it would work, you know. And the reaction is extremely energetic. Let's just say I haven't done it yet. Although I have been saving up iron shavings and aluminum dust from like filings and when I'm working on stuff. So I have 2 buckets, so I could mix them together and make some. Hit the thumbs up, everyone. Well, thank you, Mr. Landfill. Edward Casimir says, Mr. Landfill, please don't do that. Mr. Landfill, you're fine. You can do that. It's totally fine. Barity says, yeah, setting it up mostly, at least in the first world, the rising cost of livestock and land is infuriating. Okay, he's talking about homesteading. Well, yeah, I mean, if you're homesteading in a place with just insane regulations and stuff, and just everything is just going to cost a fortune, it depends where you are. So that's not so much a consequence of homesteading as much as it is a consequence of location and political situation in that location. Basically, if you're in North America or Europe or Australia, and I'm sure there are exceptions to this in certain areas of those places, but for the most part, just everything is expensive. You know, you don't have to be homesteading to be spending tons of money and be broke. All right, calcium carbide, also known as calcium acetylide, is a chemical compound with the chemical formula CaC2, so calcium carbon 2, so one calcium, two carbons. Its main use industrial is in the production of acetylene and calcium cyanamide. Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up some more. I just got a PEM, high efficiency hydrogen electrolyzer. Really, what's a PEM? This is stuff I don't know about. PEM. Why is it PEM? I have no idea what PEM. Okay, I'll write it down. He's probably going to tell me what it is in a minute. I'm writing with a giant crayon right now. Electrolyzer. You know what? There is one thing that I've been looking up a little bit that you guys gave me some advice on. 3D printers. So I'm just going to go over this real quick because I don't want to be here forever. But someone recommended a Prusa 4 XL4 or something. I was actually looking at the Prusa 3s, which I might want more than the 4s. And the other recommendation was it was a super fancy one. Crap, I don't remember what it was. Yes, thank you. The Bamboo Labs Carbon X1. Why does my daughter remember this stuff? And that and the Prusa 4 XL were both pretty expensive. But I would rather buy the Prusa because it's open source, and all the open source stuff is where all the development of those 3D printers has been coming from. So I think it's a little disrespectful of the Bamboo Lab guys to not make theirs open source. And I think that could bite people in the butt, you know, in the future when they have to repair it or want to do modifications and stuff. I would definitely lean toward the Prusa out of those two options. And then there's a guy sent me another name of a 3D printer company, which is Elegoo. And I looked real quick, and most of their 3D printers were like, the resin ones, but they did have the FDM, the fused deposition material one. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about that. They use calcium carbide in lamps before electricity, in homes, in mines, and the gas can be stored and used for welding. You can purchase old lamps. All it takes is water to create the gas. Huh. Interesting. You know, that reminds me of something else I was thinking about recently. Has anyone looked into like turning gasoline back into gasoline after you've burned it through an engine, like with some kind of energy? Because, you know, gasoline stores so much energy. Like, can you run gasoline through an engine and it's, you know, burned up, capture the gas and force it back through the reaction back into gasoline? You know, then you could have like a solar panel on your car and it could slowly be turning the gasoline back into gasoline. And it would basically be using the gasoline as a high storage battery because gasoline holds so much energy. Of course, there would be a lot of trickinesses in that. But is anyone working on that at all? Okay. TDH says AliExpress $80 for a PEM high efficiency hydrogen electrolyzer. I'm presuming that's what you're talking about. I'm gonna have to look into that. McBong's Lab says might need a few 100 volts for an electric car motor. Maybe there's a way with a VFD or something though. Well, I probably wouldn't want to run it full power. So I wouldn't want to use that. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate because I don't know what any of the specs on these motors anyway. Have your kids tried poutine yet? Okay, poutine. Oh wait, he's about to say fries, cheese curds, and gravy. Oh, they would love that. Have you guys ever had French fries and gravy? I don't know. They might have. Not with cheese curds though. Would it be difficult to get the ingredients where you're at? No, I should be able to get that stuff. I don't know. Cheese curds though. I'm pretty sure I could get cheese curds somewhere. And I can make gravy out of whatever. Thermite welding is insanely fun. Oh, you've done it, eh? Yeah, I want to play with that. That's why I've been saving up the dust. Jeff, how's it going, man? Oh, force multiplier refers to a factor that dramatically increases the effectiveness of an item. Okay, now I don't remember the question earlier that had force multiplier in it. Something about, am I into spending my time, something like that, doing force multiplying machines. Refers to a factor that dramatically increases the effectiveness of an item. Well, yeah, I am into dramatically increasing the effectiveness of an item, totally. However, whenever I dramatically increase the effectiveness of an item, I always try to keep in mind the negative side effects, which is why I don't use the gasoline motors on my boats, for example, because there are a bunch of negatives that I don't like. I was actually thinking about one today. We don't even need to get into why I was thinking about it, but basically, if someone comes over to my island, like if a friend comes over and he's like, hey, Jaimie, let's go out in the boats and do something. I can just get in my boat, flip on a switch and drive, right? But if I go to a friend's house who has a gasoline motor on his boat, it's like a 20-minute ordeal to get it ready so we can actually drive the boat, And I'm sure that's not always the case, and there's some bunch of variables in there that I'm not going to get into, but whatever. Any boards cut for the floor? You missed that answer. No, I've not cut boards for the floor yet. I've not seen any sawmill videos lately. So I'm working on the path to get the logs to the lumber mill, and I'm making good progress. Steady progress. Maybe I shouldn't say good progress. Steady progress. Steady progress is good. Let's see. I have a Creality Ender 3. Those are cheap, open source, and easy to get parts for. They're made of fairly standard bits too. How is it, McBong? Is it good? Do you like it? Does it work really well? My favorite 3D printer I had was a BFB 3000. It was the first 3D printer I had. It was just this giant, heavy thing. It was like old and slow, but man, it was so good. Like the parts came out so good. Like it was just, I guess because it was huge and heavy and didn't go that fast, it was really accurate when it laid down its layers. And then I've had 2 other 3D printers since then that, were faster and had more fanciness, but just couldn't match the reliability and the accuracy of this other thing, the BFB 3000. Of course, I left it in my house in Vermont when I sold it and moved. TDH says no. Wait, what was my question? No, but there is a kit you can buy that will inject hydrogen into your engine and improve your gas mileage. Oh, okay. Let's see. Am I at the end? I'm about to lose light here, which makes it great for reading the comments, but probably terrible for trying to see me. Not that anyone has to see me. Okay, Luciano says, I am printing on 2 printers right now. Both I found in the garbage and at E3 or A. Wait. And that A6 and Snapmaker original Kickstarter version is much more robust. Really cool. You know, maybe I should start asking around for someone who's throwing out a 3D printer, or see if someone finds one in the garbage. If I was back in the United States, I would just start keeping an eye out in the garbage or start asking around, because yeah, people get rid of them, you know, when they're still working. McBong's Lab says, I've run it for about 1,500 hours. It's slow, but prints nice, pretty reliable. Maybe go for the Bamboo or Voron if you want really fast. I don't need really fast. And I mentioned earlier why I don't want to do the Bamboo, the Bamboo Carbon X1. It looks like a really nice 3D printer. However, it's not open source. And those things being open source and sharing development, like that's how those things got developed. And I think it's dishonorable to take all that research and development that's been done by other people open sourcing and then make something and not make it open source. So I can't, in my own good conscience, buy a Bamboo. That's just me though. Much cleaner print. It is not open source, but I run it using Prusa Slicer and Pronterface. Free printer is definitely the best printer option. Yeah, free printer is. Carbide lamps 2 for cheap. I'd love to see you build a large scale printer for something like a few meters squared. I don't know what I do with that though. Like when a 3D printer gets big enough, it's kind of like I could build that by hand, you know, with much more easily and much faster, and stronger. One of the big limitations of 3D printers is just that it prints in layers. So those layers, it's got a grain, you know, it makes weak points so it can come apart. Not that it'll come apart easily, but it's not going to be as strong as something that's made solid, or something that's like fiberglass that has fibers running up and down through the whole thing. Even if you could print with fiberglass, the fibers wouldn't go across layers, you know. Anyway, I'd love to see, oh yeah, we just got that solar light out. Well, my light is over there, and I think I'm gonna get off here in a minute anyway, so I'm not gonna go grab my light. But yeah, I'm at the end of comments here, and I need to turn this off and go get my light and turn it on. So everybody, I hope you're having a great Sunday. The interesting thing about Snapmaker is that, what are you laughing about? Oh, jeez. The interesting thing about Snapmaker is it has a Dremel head, a laser head, and a printed. Well, that's kind of cool. I'm gonna have to look in these.
So funny.
All right, we're not getting into that right now. I'm gonna look at this Snap Maker. I'm probably, I don't know. At some point, I'm getting about to buy them. Tomaters, have a good night, you too. Bye, everyone. And I hope you have a great, whatever you have right now. And it's always good to hear you talk. Well, thanks, man. All right. I'm getting out of here. And do you want to say bye, Bellatrix?
I want to say bye.
All right. Do some giggles. Push the button. Here's the button.
Bye.
Say bye.
Okay.
Let go.